Again, thank you so much for joining us today. So I'm Cheryl, and I'm joined with Rachel, who you can see here, and we're both parts members of the recruitment team at LCC. My particular role is as a postgraduate college admissions coordinator. Basically, what that means is I work really closely with the course leaders and the course teams to review the applications. So you're in the middle of the process, so you've begun it and you've got your initial application put in, and a request has gone out to you to upload to PebblePad, which we'll talk about today. And then once you've uploaded to there, your application comes through to myself and the course leader, the course teams, and then we work together really closely to review all the applications and to consider those we may ask to come for interview, or we might give you a direct offer. So that's my position and why I'm here today, to hopefully give you some support and advice on this next stage that you're currently in at the moment. Firstly, as well, wanted to say thank you so much for choosing to apply to study for a master's at LCC and particularly with us at the School of Design. And congratulations for submitting that initial part of your application. So to one of our 11 courses in the design school. You might have applied for more, which is brilliant because you can apply for up to 3 across UAL. But we're really pleased that you've decided to apply to us today. So today's session is to help, as I said, with this next stage, so your PebblePad submission. In the design school at LCC, each of the courses will ask you to require you to upload a portfolio of work. So that portfolio includes a 2 to 3 minute video task, which we'll talk about. There's also your digital creative portfolio as well that needs to be included in that PebblePad submission. I'm also going to cover a little bit about sort of interview tips in case you are invited to come along for interview. May not always happen. You might have a direct offer if we think that your work would fit and that you would benefit from coming to us as well. So and then we'll have a space for questions and answers as well. So that's what we're going to do today. Although I'm focusing on the design school, there's going to be some information that's actually relevant to all of the postgraduate course applications across UAL. So there'll be snippets if you've applied to other colleges, if you've applied at LCC, the School of Media, or Screen School, then there'll be information that will be relevant for there as well. One of the things I won't be going into today is the actual technicalities of uploading to PebblePad. Information about how to do that should have come through to you in the invitation that you've had to upload to PebblePad. And also, if you go onto our UAL web pages, there are links there and email addresses where you can contact people if you're coming to technical difficulties while you're doing it, because it's quite a lengthy process. It's not as straightforward as you think, in terms of you can't just upload a prepared PDF. You do have to upload to each what we call the pages separately, but we'll talk a little bit about that as well and how to go about it. So perhaps not leaving it till the day before. It might take you a couple of days to get through that process. All right. So each of the courses you'll be asked to upload a video task. This is to be 2 to 3 minutes maximum in length. Please don't go over this. We are, and I'll tell you the reasons why in a moment, why we'd like you to do it just to the 3 minutes. We'd really like you to include this video. It's part of your portfolio, so it's one of the pages that you can submit. And it's a really good idea to put it as at the first page, just because that then introduces us to you straight away. So I've got some tips on what to do for your video task, and please don't feel overwhelmed about doing this. Basically, we just want to find out about you, okay? We just want to know about who you are, a little bit more about your work, and the reasons for why you want to come to study on a master's course, particularly in the design school at LCC. So some of the tips are to avoid reading from a script and importantly, to be yourself. Another thing is to avoid using filters. We want to meet you, so please, it's really good if you don't do that. If you apply for more than one course, please ensure that your video is course specific. So you'll have a chance to do a video for each of the courses that you've applied for. And do make sure that you use that as an opportunity to show us why is that particular course that application is for, that why you want to apply for that. It might mean that you have to create more than one video rather than just editing in the name of the course as you're going along. So it's really good that you're very clear about why your work aligns with the particular course that video is for. We'd like you to tell us why you've applied to study your chosen course. We'd like you to explain what you hope to focus on during your master's and how this will help you achieve your future ambitions. And each course also has its own additional video task requirements. I'm going to touch on some of those in a moment, but also please check the specific course UAL webpage on how to apply section, because that will cover it too. Okay, so the majority of the courses have a fairly basic outline for what they want you to put into your video task. So they want you, all of them would like you to choose one project from your portfolio and explain how it challenged you and your understanding of emerging technologies. They also would like you to tell us how this experience inspired you to apply to your chosen course at LCC Design School. Now, there's two courses that would require a little bit more information from you. So if you're applying to MA Graphic Branding and Identity, we'd like you to explain why it's the right time for you to study a master's degree. We'd like you to describe why MA Graphic Branding and Identity is the right degree for you. And we'd like you to explain how this course will help you transform and improve your current design practice. And another course, MA Design Interaction Design, that would like a little bit further information is in interaction design. They'd like you to put into your video to discuss how you feel your practice is situated in wider political, social, or cultural contexts. You could refer to a project in your portfolio as an example. That's quite a good thing to do. And it also gives you a space to expand a little more on that project, particularly as the space is quite limited in how many pages you can upload into the portfolio. And you can also, if you refer to existing work in your portfolio, or talk about your intentions for your practice going forward. So those are some of the additional information that would be like that some of the courses would like in their video task. Okay, and as I said before, please do avoid using filters, and also from reading for a script. Prompts are great. It's absolutely fine if you stumble in what you're saying. We want to meet the authentic you, so please don't worry. So I'm going to now cover portfolios and the creative portfolio. So the video task will be the first page of your portfolio, and then this is what we'd like to see in the other pages. The portfolios for us are an insight into your own unique world, and they visually communicate your skills, your potential, and your own personal lived experience. It's to consist of your recent work that reflects your creative strengths. All of the courses in the School of Design require a portfolio. Some of them have a slight variation in how many pages. Okay, so, and I'll explain about that. So your portfolio should include a maximum of 20 pages, including the video task. So you've got your video task as the first page, and then another 19 pages to work with. You should feature work from up to 6 projects. All right, don't have to have up to 5 projects. You don't have to have up to 5 projects, but that's the limit. But there are exceptions. So MA Design Management suggests that you feature up to 6 projects. So you've got space for up to 6, but again, in the required maximum of 20 slides. So 19 once you've uploaded your video. MA Service Design, however, only wants you to upload 10 slides I've got there, so 10 pages. So that actually works out at 9 once you've added your video. For each of those slides or pages, please caption each of the images with a brief explanation to contextualize your work and the dates the projects were completed. And we're not looking only for final works, but also your approach to process and challenges, how you navigate challenges and the messiness of your process. Because that messiness and those kind of maybe new directions you take, or what you feel were mistakes but actually aren't, how you're learning, but they show us your process and your creativity. And it's also showing us your ability to experiment and the engagement with your practice. What we're really looking for is not always a polished, finished outcome. I know that some universities will ask just to see those final outcomes, but we want to see that whole process because it shows us we can see your possibility for growth as well. So please don't worry if you haven't got many projects that have become really polished and into industry. We're looking at all sides of your of who you are. So in terms of the layout for your portfolio, it's a really good idea to begin with a strong project and then some sort of middling projects in the middle, potentially where you're doing more experimental work, and then with a strong project towards the end. So this kind of sandwich effect. And as I said before, we want to see your experimentation. We want to see your creativity because these are really key. There are also key requirements for the portfolio, which I'm going to go through. These are the requirements for all of the portfolios, and then I'm going to go through by course because some of those have specific requests that they want you to include. Please bear with me because we've got 11 courses to go through, but I will try and make it as brief as possible. Okay, so for the portfolio across all of the design school courses, your portfolio should include a maximum of 20 pages, 10 pages for MA Service Design, including your video task. Please caption each of the images with a brief explanation to explain each project, such as the motivation, development, realization, and impact. Your portfolio should consist of recent work that reflects your creative strengths. If examples are from a collaborative project, also state your role within that collaborative project and what your actual contribution was. Your portfolio will most likely be viewed on quite a small laptop screen. So that's something to consider in terms of how you design each of those pages, because you don't want to overload onto that. We won't be able to see what you want us to look at. One of the ways to kind of navigate that is you've got this caption space below, so you can add additional information into that caption space. It's really useful just not to kind of cut and paste into each of those captions, project 1, project 2, project 1A, project 1B, that kind of thing for the images, but actually utilize that space. So as I said, please consider the formatting and sizing of the images or any pages containing text to make sure they're easy to read. Include short descriptions and supporting materials to explain each project, again, such as the motivation, development, realization, and impact. So those are all of the courses that require the 20 pages, and then you've got service design, which is the 10 pages. All right, so these are some little niche course specifics, and I'm just going to read through them for each of the courses. So again, all of this information that I'm giving today is actually there on the UAL web pages, so you can refer back to that. So MA Graphic Branding and Identity, they're looking for portfolio projects that consist of personal and/or commercial work, along with short descriptions of the projects and your role. they're looking for work that demonstrates your aptitude, skill, and engagement in the field of graphic branding and identity. Design for art direction would like you to include a selection of self-initiated and/or commercial work in art direction or similar practice, evidencing your research interests, skills, and engagement within your current field. MA Design Management are looking for you to illustrate your interest and enthusiasm for design management and cultures. And they'd like you to include a variety of work such as visual work, cross-platform moving image work, reports, reviews, essays, sorry, creative projects. MA Social Innovation and Sustainable Futures would like you to include examples of creative work, both visual and written, because they're all part of practice. And they'd like you to highlight your interests and enthusiasm in sustainability and social innovation. Design for data visualization would like you to include work that showcases your aptitude, skills, and engagement in practices such as graphic design, communication, and information design. Graphic media design would like you to demonstrate your aptitude, skill, and engagement in the field of graphic design or related practice. Design for visual communication would like you again to demonstrate your aptitude, skill, and engagement in the field of design for visual communication or related practice. And then interaction design. They'd like you to demonstrate your knowledge, understanding, skills, and engagement in interaction design and related fields, but they'd also like you to highlight your intellectual curiosity, your open-mindedness, and commitment to postgraduate study. Illustration and visual media would like you to include, alongside your visual work, short written reflections of each piece, alongside edited visual documentation of your working process. They'd like you to include research-based conceptual examples that demonstrate your thinking and making process. And they'd like you to highlight your curious nature to explore, test, and experiment. Service design would like you to demonstrate your engagement or involvement in a professional setting where possible. So, for example, through internships, voluntary work, or freelance work. And they'd like you to include examples from professional projects or research-based around relevant topic if you're from a non-design background, and also to demonstrate your enthusiasm for service design. And again, user experience, very similar to, in some ways, to service design. They would like you to include research on topics that are relevant to user experience. They'd like you to provide an explanation of your research, outcomes, and impact. And they also would like you to demonstrate your aptitude, skills, and engagement in user experience design or a related field. Just to kind of reiterate, I suppose, both your video task and your portfolio do align them with the courses that you are applying for. So if you are applying for 2 courses at LCC, make sure you've got that opportunity to adapt your video or make your video so that it's relevant to that course you're applying to, and also your portfolio, because we're looking for that as well to see how much you have this your engagement with the discipline that you're applying to be studying with us. Okay, so interviews. Interviews, not all courses will invite you for an interview. We do our best to interview the majority of applicants that we believe will flourish on our courses. But although, more frequently we are actually giving sort of direct offers, but even though we're doing that, we are providing opportunities for you to meet with the course teams and the course leaders as well. Once you receive your offer, you will then be given there'll be invitations to come along to sessions and workshops that will be put on by the courses themselves, so the placeholder events basically. If you are offered an interview, it's going to be a space to talk further about your practice and to meet the course teaching team and for us to actually meet you too. Please don't be overwhelmed. We just want to find out a bit more about your practice. And I'm just going to go through some of the things that you could potentially be asked to interview. Please don't assume that this is what you will be asked. So don't prepare uh, answers for these kind of areas. You might not be asked these questions, but it's just to give you a sense of sort of some of the things we like to find out about. So knowledge and skills, we like you to tell us a little bit about your creative journey so far. We have applicants that have all sorts of backgrounds previously in terms of their undergraduate degrees. So some can come from sociology. So it's actually, and then might want to apply for art direction. So it's actually, what was your journey in between? How did that work? How did you shift? What have you been doing? So those are some of the questions we will ask you. We want to find out about your passion and your curiosity. So what excites and inspires you? We want you as well to ask us questions. It's as much an opportunity for you to ask us questions and make sure that UAL is right for you. Please, as I said, I've got their confidence, and it's really natural to feel nervous, but just try to be yourself. We just want to learn more about you and about your love for your subject. We also would love to know a little bit about your aspirations and how the course that you've applied for will help you achieve them. So it's more of a conversation in a way that we'll have rather than an interview. Interviews can be a strong word. So some tips that could be, if you are invited for interview, then reread the course page and also reread your personal statement. It's a really good thing to reflect on and go back to. Because we would have read we would have read your personal statement. We would have looked really closely at your portfolio and your video. So we're going to know that information. But it's great if you can expand on some of the points that you make there. Some of the tips are to research any relevant artists, designers and styles that have inspired you. You could practice your interview with family or friends and just be yourself. Avoid reading from a script. Prompts are really useful because we all get nervous, but don't read out fully prepared answers. That can be more stressful for you, especially if we don't ask the questions that you've prepared answers for. It's always good to know more about your current practice, a project in your portfolio that you didn't have time to cover in the video task and would like to expand on, or perhaps, in terms of that restriction of the amount of pages you can put on, this is a time for you to expand on a project with us. And we'd also really like to know about your future plans. But we also realize that that's not predictable because, as soon as you even come to London and you come to college, the way you're viewing the world and your practice is going to shift enormously. But it's just great to kind of see that you have an understanding of what postgraduate study means for you and means for your future as well, and the new directions that you're going to take. Okay, so as I said before, for any additional supporting information, then go to the UAL web pages, both for your chosen course and also the advice pages as well. And you'll find more information there if you need help with uploading to PebblePad. As I said again, I just want to really put out there that you can't just upload a PDF. Okay, so it is going to take you a little bit of time to put your work up there into the portfolio. All right, so questions and answers. I'm going to unshare my screen. I haven't been able to see what's been going on in the chat. So I'm going to start now. Oh, there's so many more people than there was before. I couldn't even see who was there, which is fantastic. So yeah, is there...
Yeah, there's a couple that have come to me directly. I think it'd be useful for you to respond to. And then if people want to carry on putting questions in chat, please do. First question was about what we expect in terms of research work in a portfolio, sort of what that might comprise of, and how the research might relate to the course that somebody's applying to.
So the research work, so it's projects. So if you are coming from, it could be that you've come from industry and you've worked on live projects, or they could be academic projects if you're coming from you've studied at university before. So that's the research that we're looking for in terms of that. We're looking for what the project was about, how you approached it. So, through sketches, through writing, through gathering of information, and then the final outcome that you came to. So those are the sort of things we're looking for in terms of what to include in your portfolio. Does
Thank
that
you.
answer that question?
Yeah, I think so. And I think the sort of second part is like how might or would that research differ if someone was applying maybe for a graphic design course compared to like design management? So how would the research relate maybe to the specialism that's been applied for, if it does?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it will. So we're looking at how you work as a creative. Okay, so you can include projects from all kind of creative backgrounds, but it's how does that then align with the course that you're applying for? So it's great to, if you are coming from graphic design and you want to go on to art direction, then it's great to see, for us to see how you navigate a project from start to finish. But then you might want to add into the caption actually how that could then develop, or how you would have approached it maybe for the course that you're applying for, just so we can see how you position your work within your future field of study or future field of practice.
Yashvi has got their hand up.
Hello. So
Hi.
I had a few questions. Thank you so much for the session. Like you mentioned, like it might differ from course to course, but let's say I'm applying for design management and I have some textual data, and research primarily for me consists of a lot of textual data, but I won't be able to submit in a format which you will be able to read in the very box that you were mentioning. So, what suggestions other than the description box, since I understand it can be a lengthy process if I add all the research there, what could be a better suggestion there?
Yeah, it was a question actually came up this morning. So you could take you can take screenshots, but you could also maybe do a synopsis. So outlining what the project is or the text is, and then adding what the outcomes were as well as part of it. And it's coming from a design perspective, so to have a visual that links with it is really great, because it's for us to see how you look at the world visually as well as through written practice. Written practice is really important, especially at postgraduate level, so your critical thinking and your awareness of the world in that way. But it's being able to see both of those things, and how you bring them together, because we are design school, so it's, yeah, if that's rather than management on its own. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. The
Okay, brilliant.
another one was like you mentioned, there are smaller screen sizes. So can you like suggest some size? Because what I read on for PebblePad was not more than 4,000 pixel in height or width. So a font size of 12 was mentioned there, but I think for a 4,000 pixel board, 12 might be very small, like the font size. So if there's some standard.
Gosh, if it said, so where does it say? It says, is that the advice it gives on the web pages to do
Yeah.
it? Just follow that, because the software that they use we can see it. That I know that it works. I'm not
Okay.
technically minded, so when you were saying pixels and things, that's completely blown my head. So, but if it says that on the website to do that, I know that works because I review those. So just follow what it says there is absolutely great. I mean, we're not working on phones, It's just that we don't want you to put onto one page sort of, I don't know, 15 images, because that's kind of, how do you explain that? We're looking for how you work within a brief as well, because this is kind of a brief as well, putting together your portfolio. So yeah, that's size 12 is great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Cheryl, that relates to another one we had actually that came directly to me, and the service design, obviously looking for 10 pages.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if there's any tips or guidance on how you would cover a number of projects in 10 pages, or any, I guess, particularly clear examples you've seen how people might have presented work that people might want to think about.
I've got a feeling, Rachel, it's actually a new thing this year, the 10 pages for service design, but I'm not sure. I would say it's selecting, rather than uploading all of a project, it's selecting certain parts of it, and again really using that caption section. But also don't forget, you've got your video, so if there's a project that you're really particularly proud of, or you feel that's it is in line very much with the course that you're applying for, then maybe that's the one you want to talk a little bit more about in the video, so you've got that space as well. If you want to show sketchbooks, I've seen applications where there's been a very short video, and I mean really short, so not more than a minute, but of somebody going through the pages, just of their sketchbook, just so we can get a feel of actually how you go about your process, because obviously trying to upload a sketchbook is going to take up so much space, so you might want to do it in that way as well. That could be a way around it. It is possible to upload films, but we only have a limited time, so don't put anything, I wouldn't put anything more than a minute on there, unless of course you're applying for a film course, and then that's a different thing altogether, and not something we cover in design school. But so that could also be of uploading a little, some more information on there.
Thanks, Cheryl. And then we've got a couple in chat, and if people feel free to put your hand up, we can come to you in person. But we've had a question about, this is Parnian. How are essays supposed to be presented in the portfolio? That's a requirement for the design management course.
So they don't ask for a whole essay, I don't think.
It's a study proposal.
They might ask. I know that one of the things that they're asking for in the portfolio is, I did mention, I remember saying about essays is one of the things, but it's showing how you approach projects. So it could be a piece of poetry, it's what your research process is. And as I was saying earlier, maybe you want to do like a synopsis of it, so you could do a screenshot of maybe a page or so, but then do a synopsis of what that essay is about, because we're looking at what the kind of topics that you're working with. Or what was that essay for? Did it end up being an article in a journal, or was it a piece of writing that was submitted as your final dissertation for undergraduate study? So it's contextualizing that work as well, and why it's relevant to your application for design management, rather than uploading a whole essay.
And then another one in chat. Yes, this is a nice one. Does the portfolio have to be in a minimal format, or can it be adjusted designs to present our personality? That's from Sarah. I'd be interested to hear how individual they are, the portfolio.
Yeah, I suppose there is that sort of there's the conventions that you have to stick to, isn't there, in terms of the amount of pages that you can put up, and the actual format of the pages. But what you put in as your images is up to you. It's that's showing us your creativity as well. And as long as it's clear what you're trying to convey, this is your time to show us that you really understand why you want to apply for that particular course. So within your image you're uploading, you can be as creative as you like, but there is the restrictions are that it has to be so many pages, and it's there are these landscape pages that are of a certain size, and so
am I right that some people might take a sort of personal branding approach to it, almost say like they have the same font on all of their work, they might frame things in a similar way?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's quite useful in some ways as well, if you do that if you have for each of your different projects. So each project, obviously it's a new topic, it's a new direction. So you're not going to use the same font all the way through for every project, so it's, those kind of things are as well, another space for you to show your creativity and your different ways of working. So
And
take as
Sarah,
many
do you want to
opportunities.
come in on that? That was your question. So you might have got a different, might be something else you wanted to clarify.
Yeah, yeah, thank you so much. I
Hi.
just wanted to ask, along with that portfolio, like I was just wondering like whether the portfolio can be minimal or adjusted design. Does that also apply to the design, sorry, the video too?
What you include in the video, do you mean? Or how
Or
you...
yeah, include, but also like how you edit the video, I guess.
Yeah, okay. So with the video, because it's quite short
Hmm.
and we want to find out about you. I mean, some people approach it in different ways, or they see it as a space to maybe convey their personality in different ways. But it's great to also, we're not looking for for it to be that some people might have access to particular software or program, to or editing. They may have editing skills and that others don't have. So we're not expecting it to be something that's highly professional. It's just for us to find out about you. It's also a great space, if you wanted to share more of your work, you can show it and talk through it at the same time and show more imagery in that way. But don't make it too complicated, because it's, otherwise we'll lose you. And that's why I was saying about avoiding things like filters, because then we're not meeting who you are. So yeah, I mean, yes, do use it as a creative space, but also think about who the audience is and what they want to find out. So yeah, just keep that in the back of your head.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
All right, that's
Thanks,
okay.
Cheryl. And before we come to you, Miriam, I just wanted to check, so we've got another comment, a question about videos. Should it just be the applicant? So should it just be the person who's applying? Or is it useful to see the project in the video? I think you did mention that earlier. It'd be good just to...
Yeah, absolutely. You can either show it just like physically have it there, or you might have, you might want to include a brief shot of it or something in there. If you have those editing type skills, you can do that, but don't we are looking to find out about you, but but also don't worry if you haven't got that technical equipment to be able to do those things either. Just holding things up is absolutely fine. We really like to see that, student applicants that work with physical objects as well, and creating in that way, so not everything to be digital apps. So it's great to see, you might have something that you want to show working in motion, then do that too.
Thank you. Just to say, I've got my eye on the questions in the chat here, and I'll make sure we come to all of those. But before that, I think, is it Mariam? Sorry, I hope.
Hello to
Hi.
everyone. Thank you for the information. They are so helpful. I just wanted to ask that I'm graduated from sculpture, but I had few practices on basic 2D animation. I wanted to ask that, is it okay to put them on my portfolio, or it's better just focus on my sculpture and sketchings on that? Because my animation practices are so basic, and just it's about like moving, how the leaf moves, how the ball moves, different kind of like this. Yeah, I wanted to ask, how is it better?
Okay, so have you applied for a course in the design school, or?
Yeah, I'm looking for art direction,
Art direction.
because
Yeah, brilliant.
I'm looking somehow combine the sculpture with how you can how storytelling can come with it, and sort of I think it's not the time, I guess.
No, it's that's beautiful for you to actually include, because as I was saying right at the beginning, it's showing us your pathway, so how you've got from, working with the sculpture background, and then how you've developed your work to go to more aligned to art direction, and
Yeah,
why
I
that
mean,
reason is there. But so yes, do include it in your portfolio.
but they are not now combined. I mean, I have few practices on sculpture because it was what I studied, And I had like online courses on 2D animation, but they are so basic animations. I mean, I haven't had time to combine them together, and I'm looking for do it. Yeah, I just wanted to ask, what should I do? Yeah, put the videos on it. Yeah.
So with the animation work, again, include that, because that's showing us, you know, that you're experimenting and you're trying new things out. So it might not be your lead project, it might not be the first project you put on,
it's not
it might not be the final project, but it'd definitely be lovely to be able to see it as part of your experimentation and your kind of willingness to try new things, you know, and try it, and how you're developing your practice. So yeah, please do. Don't worry if it's not completely aligned. Yeah, it's all the space.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Cheryl. I'll just go to the ones in the chat. I think some of these are quite similar, so I'll read a few of them off. A large project that's not necessarily relevant to the course but showcases a skill set, should that be included? And then a lined question, if someone's worked as an industrial designer or an architect, could they show the designs they've made in their professional career, because they may not have got article studies and things like that?
Okay, so yes to both. First of all, so the Anushka, with about the live project that's not necessarily relevant to the course you're applying for, it's still exactly what you say. It showcases your skill set really well. So, you know, just explaining that in the captions below to say why you've included it, and you know, it's for us to see how you navigate a project and how you collaborate with others potentially, and just, you know, the directions it's gone in and the outcomes. So yes, perfect. Do include it. And Sarah's the industrial designer, so is it enough to show only the designs I've made and the stages that I've gone through in my portfolio, because I don't have articles etc to study? Should I show my illustrations, exhibitions I've organized? Yes, absolutely. Show those, you know, the exhibitions you've organized. Again, use those captions just to give a bit of context as to what they're about and how your skills that you've learned while working on these projects, how those skills could transfer into working on design management as well. I hope that helps.
And then a really interesting one here, actually. If people upload proposals for projects that haven't yet been built, would they be considered sort of equally compared to maybe a completed project?
Yeah, we're not judging your projects, so we're not looking at them in that way. We're just looking at your creativity and I think I mentioned earlier that we're looking for your potential, you know, your potential in the area that you want to develop your practice into. So absolutely add, you know, it might not be, as I was saying earlier, it might not be the initial project that you upload, and it might not be the final project, but you've got the space where we're looking for experimentation and things that don't have final outcomes. And you know, especially if you haven't worked in industry as well, not everything has become a live project, so it's just for us to see your creativity. So please do add them.
I feel like some of our students' final projects are prototypes and things that are not necessarily built at scale, not least the resources. So just a couple of very technical ones. Does the design management course have to have an essay?
No, that was just an example. I think I'd put etc at the end, so it doesn't have to have an essay. You would have already uploaded your personal statement for that, and then if it was required, a study proposal. But no, you don't need at all. Gosh, I'm now worried that we're going to get loads of essays uploaded into the Pebble. It's more to do with your design process, and it's just another way of showing us how you research things and how you gather information.
Is there a limit to the number of images that can be placed on each page of a portfolio? Or I guess, is there a guided limit of how many you might have on a page of a portfolio?
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned before, that it's not a limit, but obviously we're going to have to read it. So if you put 15 on there, how you're going to, because we're asking you to put an explanation for those images as well, you know, it's to put them into context. So you're going to be designers. So it's how do you share information that's clear? So it's kind of in a way, I guess the portfolio is also a bit of a project or a challenge, you know, for us to see how you do work with visually. So yeah, and how you bring things together. So that's for you to think about.
Yeah.
But as I said before, you know, 10 images is going to be overload.
Yeah. So should the project discussed in the video also be part of the other portfolio? Or not necessarily.
It doesn't have to be, but it would give you, if it was, it gives you the opportunity to expand, because you are limited by the amount of images that you have on your that you have on your pages, that it is more of an opportunity for us to hear more about a particular project, you know, that you feel you'd like to expand on. If you start off with another new one, I don't think 3 minutes is going to be long enough to do that and the other things that we're asking of you to convey in the video. So perhaps not.
So to align it with a project that's already in the portfolio.
Yeah.
This is a good question. I don't know if I've ever seen this one before. It's a very good question. In terms of the narrative sequence of work, is it preferred, I suppose, or does it matter to present the research first and then sort of continue to show the finished work, or to start with the finished work and then do the sort of expanded background to how that work was created? I'm sure you see both sides.
Yeah, so it's like that wow factor. This is the final bit, and this is how I got to it. Yeah, it's the first way round. So usually it's the research process first and then the final outcome, but it's fine to do it the other way as well. Might mix it up a bit.
Nice the other way, yeah.
For us as we're going through.
This is a good question as well. One of our new courses, unable to find work on the MA design for visual communication. Can we say what sorts of projects Oliver, the course leader, is looking for in that portfolio if interested in that course? Because it is a new course. So actually we haven't had a class graduate from that MA yet, although there is a very similar course to that. And I'll see if I can share a link to the work that was done on the previous sort of post-grad diploma for that to share. But Cheryl, yeah, I didn't know if you want to talk about that one.
Yeah, I mean, he's not looking for specific projects and specific, he's just looking for your potential. So, you know, in terms of, and also to see what your direction is, you know, what your interests are, why your work aligns to visual communication. And I think that's one of the things that I mentioned in what he's looking for in the portfolio and also within the video task. So it's not like we're expecting in any of the courses certain projects to appear. Everyone has different projects and different ways of learning. You know, it doesn't have to be that you have one that's on animals, one that's on, you know, one's an app project, one's a whatever. We're just looking for you as a creative and how what your development is. So obviously it's aligned to the course, that you could be aligned to the course, or, you know, if it's a project that was a fashion project, but now you're interested in visual communication, you could add into the caption how you would develop that project, perhaps to be in line with the course.
There's another comment here, that's, you know, where someone might mean they're limited in terms of what they can experiment with. I think that potentially means in terms of materials and processes. Have been experiencing with different digital tools, making brochures, research, etc. Is there a best way to show what experimentation might mean, I guess, when thinking about work and maybe materials or processes?
Yeah, so it's when you say, because of that's another thing. So I think it's something that came out before about how do we don't think the word grade was used, but how do we kind of look at projects? We don't do that. We don't kind of, you know, some people will have access to a whole wealth of materials and programs and all sorts of things, but others won't at all. We don't in any way, you know, we're not going, we look at everybody's work. We're looking at how you creatively work with things and how you've experimenting can be all sorts of things, you know. It can be experimenting with the materials you do have to hand, or it might be experimenting in terms of the directions of thinking that you've taken with the project. So yeah, we're not in any way thinking about materials that you have available. It's how you approach those materials that you do have available and how you work with them. I hope that helps. So we would like to see, in terms of if you have been limited maybe to saying about work that's only digital, if you don't have any space to work beyond that, then, you know, adding to get to that digital stage, you would have done some form of sketching, or even if it's on, you know, on your computer, you've been gathering information and research processes. You might have been doing diagrams, you know, include those kind of things. That shows us research process and ways of experimenting, especially if you're limited.
Thanks, Cheryl. I'll just take a couple more from here. What should the caption space talk about on each page of PebblePad? How many sentences can be included in the captions?
It's a caption, so don't put an essay in there.
That's not the essay space.
No, there's no essay space. But maybe 3 sentences maximum. Just thinking, you know, it's something that's just going to give a brief overview of what we're looking at, how that relates to why you've included it, how it relates to the other images that you've uploaded of that project, and also include a date of when you did that project. You know, it could be recent. You might upload one that's not so recent. We do tend to look at work that's more recent so that we know that you are practicing at this time. Okay. But we won't, you know, discriminate against that either. If it's something that you've had to go in, you've been working in industry for a while, that's life, but you do still already have these creative skills.
Yeah, thank you. There's one question in here which I think is a good final question to ask, because it also will sort of direct us towards what next steps people might take.
Okay.
Are there any past portfolio examples that people can look at, or where, I guess, might they find inspiration or other guidance for the next stages of their application?
What was their first sentence you said then? Sorry.
Are there any past or previous portfolio examples that we could share with applicants? Or where might they find, I guess, more information on what they need to do?
Yeah, we don't share portfolio examples because otherwise we'll end up with everyone doing them the same. You know, that's not what it's about. This is a space for us to find out about you and your creativity. So we don't want everyone to do exactly the same work, the same project, because everyone will have a different approach, different background, you know, come from a different practice. So we don't like to do that. We want you to be you, to be authentic, to see what your work is. In terms of seeing others' work, then on the web pages, there's there's not only the final projects on there from each of the courses, because we do work in progress exhibitions as well. So you'll see pieces of work from those too. So you can kind of see the directions that the courses go in. But yeah, we don't share the actual past portfolios themselves.
Thanks, Cheryl. So I'm just shared in the chat a link to the UAL showcase, which is a great place to see the work that's produced on each course. And I think people will see actually at each course level, the range of work is really vast. Actually, even on a single course, the final work produced is really expansive. But also, you just might get a sense, I guess, of how that fits with your practice as well. So that, you know, a course, you might get a sense of, does your work maybe fit in within that community. I'll also share a link in the chat to other guidance we have on applying to UAL. I'm sure you've seen it already, but we have lots of videos that will also give a bit more advice on portfolios, how to upload the portfolios, as well as dates and deadlines. I'm sure some of you are already in touch maybe with our rep or agent network overseas as well, and they can give guidance on that part of the process as well, particularly how to upload things to the system. So that's places you could look for some more guidance as well.
Oh, well, thank you so much, everyone, for coming along today. And yeah, hopefully, well, I will look forward to seeing your PebblePad submissions, but also hopefully meeting some of you in person in next September as well. So thank you so much.